Miscellaneous beings, I am Miki Vanushek and you are listening to my voice. Welcome. Today's guest is Yawar Abbas, a mechanical engineer from Pakistan currently working on his PhD thesis at University of Twente, where we live together as roommates. Enjoy! And we're live.
Hello.
So, maybe we should start with your background,
Sure.
ethnic
Yeah.
and cultural.
Yeah.
You grew up in Pakistan.
I grew up in Pakistan. I was born in Pakistan. I lived there up till 2012. So that would make me 19 or 20, I guess.
Okay. You mentioned that during your childhood you moved a lot. Why was that?
Yeah, well, basically my father was working in a telecommunication company and he used to get posted in different stations.
What did he do?
Well, he was a telecommunication engineer who was in charge of making sure that telephone lines are working back in the days when we had landlines and making sure that, let's say, all the banking connections were working.
I see.
So, for example, if there was a lot of rain or someone was constructing roads and they incidentally broke the optical fiber, he was supposed to make sure that it's repaired again and things are up and running again.
I see. Is he now working in internet infrastructure or?
Well, he retired last month,
I
so
see.
it's been he has been working since 1990, I guess, and the retirement age in Pakistan is 60, in contrast to 67 that we have here in the Netherlands.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think first of all, maybe the life expectancy is a bit shorter in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Also, I think here the age is also connected with not only health but how the whole pension system works. So that you have the investments from the pension system in the government, and then you make sure you have enough income to give money to your pensioners. What's the right word? I don't know. But in Pakistan, it doesn't work like that. So I think that's just the standard age, and there is not a lot of focus of changing it at the moment.
You went to an Air Force high school.
Yeah.
How long were you when you picked it?
Yeah, well, basically, I think I would define my life before going there as someone who was much more fun-loving and outgoing and not really into sports. I was flying kites a lot. I was playing marbles. I was playing hide and seek with my friends, seeing who runs faster. By the age I was like 12 or 13, my parents they were actually suggested by some other parents, like, this is a great boarding school, you should send your kid there. I had absolutely no idea.
So it wasn't your idea?
It wasn't my idea, no.
I see.
But
were you fighting it? How did you feel about it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, basically, they invited me to one of the annual parents meeting. So I went with this couple, which was the friends of my parents, to this annual group meeting because it was also their son was studying there.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the whole function with like the physical training exercises, the martial arts, the army special way of parading and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this is pretty dope, so why not? And but it wasn't like you think about it and you can directly go there. Basically, you have to give an entrance exam, and around 10,000 people applied or gave that entrance exam.
Uh-huh.
Then they select, I don't know, some 100 people, and then 200, 300 people, then they interview those people. So I remember that I was quite shy in the interviews, like, the principal was sitting in front of me.
So wait, how many people out of 10,000 get accepted into this school?
At the end of the day, they select 80.
80.
80.
80 out of 10,000.
80 out of 10,000.
That's very prestigious.
Yeah, but I guess, like, I was, I prepared for the exam. So it wasn't like I just ended up there.
No shit.
Yeah. My parents had specially, got two instructors or two teachers for me who used to come to teach me at home. One for
I
English
see.
and one for mathematics, just to train me for the entrance exam.
Did you have anyone in the class who said they didn't prepare?
Not that I can
Yeah.
remember, because it's a long time ago.
That would be very surprising. I
That
think
would be surprising.
even at much lower levels, at easier schools, people prepare a lot.
Yeah.
Especially, and it can be kind of detrimental because it's, like a competition
Mhm.
between the children who just spends more time preparing for this exam,
Yeah.
and it gets longer and longer and really ridiculous. Especially, I think, in Asia,
Mhm.
they have the culture of totally over preparing, and that's part of the reason why here in Netherlands
Mhm.
they only release the stuff you're supposed to study like 2 weeks before the actual exam,
Yeah.
so that this doesn't happen. Everybody has just 2 weeks,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you can study for it for 2 years.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you, and I think, like, I don't remember how long I prepared for it, but basically it was like, okay, paying attention to English grammar, structure of sentences, how to write an essay on a certain subject, how to think critically on certain subjects, doing some basic mathematical understanding of different subjects. What does differentiation mean? What does an integral of something means? How do you do that? What are the formulas? So stuff like that. So part of it was like,
Wait, didn't you say you were like 12?
Yes.
12.
Yeah.
So for this exam at 12 years old in Pakistan, you needed to know calculus?
Like the basics of it.
Basics of calculus.
Yeah, because you go there
Wow.
in the 8th grade, so, and you already start learning these things a bit from the 5th grade onwards,
Do you guys learn calculus in 5th grade in Pakistan?
I have to check, but I mean, I don't, factually correct me on that. But what I was trying to imply is the basic algebra and the basic stuff that you need to know by that time, by the 7th grade. I was getting prepared for that. Now, what was exactly part of it and what not, I don't remember, but I do think that part of some basic integral and differentiation stuff, I did prepare for it.
That's very impressive. I mean, I only encountered calculus during second half of my high school. And
Okay.
and I think most Czech people don't encounter it in high school at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But what grade would that be like?
High school?
Yeah.
13. 13 is the last grade of high school.
Okay. Wow.
But it's possible. I mean, other cultures
Yeah, but
have different priorities. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's also possible that I am mixing up some concepts. English I remember fairly well.
Yeah, it has been a long time.
It has
ago,
been
right?
a long time. Yeah.
How old are you now?
Now I'm 29.
29.
Yeah.
So, wow.
I was like 12, 13 by then. So it's been a while. I mean, I might be mixing up some stuff,
Yeah.
but I do remember the English stuff.
Okay. Anyway, so
Yeah.
you got into the school.
Yeah.
What was your arrival like? It must have been pretty tough, right?
Yeah, but it was like the world was opening up for me at that time. As in, like I said, my father was moving in different cities, so I was making some friends, but then losing them in a way because I was moving to the new city and stuff like that. This was the first time where people from all over Pakistan were in one school, all your same age, going through the same, let's say, introduction of how the boarding school works and what the routines are.
Was it male only?
It was male only. Yeah, that was another dimension to it. Especially at that age, because and it's much more defined how you should live your life. You have to wake up at a certain time,
Yeah.
and then by the certain time you have to be in the big ground where you do some physical training, and then you have a certain time before you take a shower and are back again outside the hostel to go to the breakfast, and then after you have done with breakfast you have to march towards the academic blocks. You have an assembly there, so everything was defined. Even like after school study time was defined. Like every evening from this time to this time, everybody's sitting in a big hall studying.
Did you like it?
I enjoyed it. I think it gave me a lot. I gained a lot of new traits in my personality.
Discipline, probably, right?
Discipline, self-confidence. Um I got more sporty. Like
Athletic.
athletic is the word. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
For yeah.
I think I had a very similar experience when I went to the United States,
Nice.
as I woke up every day very early
Mm-hmm.
and had a lot of physical activity. Like when I was in the United States, most of the days I would lay in the bed in the evening
Mm-hmm.
very early.
Okay.
And-
Why? Because you had to
and-
wake up early, or what?
First of all, second of all, because I was physically tired and just felt good.
Nice.
It was just a treat. Third of all, because there wasn't much to do there.
Yeah.
And sleeping was actually, I considered it productive, and
Mm.
every day I was physically exhausted. Not
Wow.
absolutely every day, but
So what were
Well-
the activities you were doing then?
we started out with cross country.
Mm-hmm.
So I came there and I wasn't athletic at all, like, and I think like I would hate to lie, but less than 2 months,
Yeah.
between a month and 2 months, I participated in a race, not
Mhm.
officially because I didn't have my paperwork ready. They needed to make sure that the school didn't pay for me to come there
Okay.
in order for me to compete in the sports,
Mm-hmm.
which is a thing that in Oklahoma is banned, except for Christian schools.
Oh wow.
It's very interesting, and
Yeah.
that's also the reason why Christian schools at cross country were unbeatable
Yeah. Yeah.
because
yeah.
they did that. And,
Yeah, yeah.
the-
I think like the culture of Southern America, like the United States of America, is way
you mean
different.
northern?
Yeah, Northern America is way different from, let's say, the big Hollywood culture that we see on movies. At times, for
Yeah,
example,
because United States is a giant place where 300 million people live, right?
yeah,
So it's like if you said the culture of Europe,
yeah,
you know, and yeah, sure, maybe the culture is a bit more unified, but still, like if you have rural America versus an American city like New
New
York,
York,
it's
yeah.
a different world.
yeah, I agree.
Anyway, let's circle back to
Yeah.
your
Journey.
disciplined life in high school.
Yeah,
How,
yeah.
how
yeah.
are your grades? Were your grades good?
That's a good question. My grades were average.
Average, but
Average.
for a place where they only take top 80 out of 10,000. So
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, that's fair. But I mean, I didn't necessarily feel that I was academically like, the brightest guy in the room. Nor had I had any interest in becoming the brightest guy in the room. Like I was pretty happy with my grades. I was working hard for the exams, but I never really was heartbroken if I didn't, got topped the class or something like that.
I
I did
see.
pretty above average, so that was pretty good for myself. It was very later in my life when academics became much more important.
I see.
Yeah.
So how were you allowed to leave the school on your own, or how does that work?
We could only move. We could only visit our family during the vacation period. That used to happen like once every 3 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
So a daily day on a daily routine, we wouldn't be able to leave the premises of the boarding school.
So it was like a hybrid between school and a prison.
Well, not really, because I think life was very rich there.
I see. Did you guys have like hobbies or
Yeah, because it was very active, like
extracurriculars?
a lot.
What did you do?
I was captain of the football team. I was the keeper of our hockey team. I was like the
Whoa.
wing of our basketball team.
Whoa. Wait, was that done all sequentially or in parallel?
in parallel. So
in parallel.
yeah. We used to have like competitions between different hostels. There were 8 hostels.
Interesting. So how often did you like practice for different sports?
Every day we had the practice, let's say, period, and in different sports were played on different
I
time
see.
periods. Yeah.
Like in the United States, I'm not the biggest expert, but there, high school sports are super competitive.
Yeah.
Like unbelievably competitive. Like even at Calvin, where I was, the school was tiny, right? So it was pretty surprising to me to see how seriously they take basketball.
Yeah.
And like they would practice 3 times a day regularly.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Just basketball. Sometimes when we had cross country, it would even be 4 practices in a day.
Yeah. So
And
like professional levels.
yeah, and the most astonishing thing for me was that they weren't bad, but it's not like they were amazing. It's not like we were beating everyone, right?
Yeah.
It was like,
so they were not being able to translate their hard work into success.
no, it's just that it wasn't so special in the area. Like
I see.
they were just another basketball team.
I see.
Which to me was really astonishing, you know.
Yeah, but I think sports teach you a lot, man. I mean, especially at that age, don't you agree?
Yeah. But to be completely fair, we had like an amazing run at the playoffs. So it was like one of the, I think it was the best year in Calvin High School male basketball since 1968.
Oh, that's pretty impressive, right?
Yes, but anyway, let's circle back
sure.
to your high school.
Yes.
You were males only.
We were males only.
You didn't get to meet any girls? Was there like a girls' school of similar size just next door that you could like at least meet at a defense?
Unfortunately not. I mean, that was very special environment in many sense. I now acknowledge the drawbacks that it can bring, but I was pretty lucky in a way, because then I was able to move out of my country and experience cultures and meet people and learn how to interact and work together and socialize and stuff like that. And Pakistan is also a relatively more conservative country in relative terms if you talk about Europe and Pakistan. But that doesn't mean people don't hang out with each other, or there is not a lot of co-education or stuff like that. So for us, it was in a way special. In my high school, no, I didn't had any big interactions with the female colleagues or students. Yeah, which if I now look back sounds a bit different, but by that time it looked pretty natural. I think our lives were quite busy with the normal routines, like I said.
I'm just wondering, what in this environment, what were homosexuals treated like?
That's a very good question. Can you elaborate your question?
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine that if you have such a large group of guys, who are deprived of meeting the people who they are primarily sexually interested in, and among them they are, a minority of people who are not. It might create tension.
Yeah, I agree with you that not only it creates tension, but it's a natural phenomena, right? So in any diaspora of population, you can have a mix of personalities and preferences. According to the guidelines, or let's say the regulations of the boarding school, such a thing was not acceptable.
What do you mean was not acceptable?
Like you couldn't first of all, in Pakistan, it's not integrated into the society. This kind of like preferential people don't come out and
I see.
you explain their gender preferences or sexual preferences so easily. But at the same time, in the boarding school, first of all, we were all very young, so
Mhm.
you don't know, or you have less education about the matter.
But wait, it was all the way up until the end of high school, right?
Yeah, it was
So that's
until
how old?
yeah. I mean, so from the 12th grade to up till like the 17th, from age of 12 or 13
Yeah,
to 17 or 18. Yeah, but yeah. So it was a relatively young age. It is also not something that is fully embraced in that society.
Mm-hmm.
And also the regulations of the school didn't allow you to have such kind of relationships in the school.
I see.
So that was the context or circumstances back then.
I see. So homosexuals were treated kindly and while they remained in closet, let's say.
I think so. I think that's a fair assessment, but also I want to add that any kind of relationship was not that was not part of the daily business in that environment,
I see.
because it was relatively considered as, oh, it's a boarding school, it's more military oriented, you focus on discipline, you focus on sports, you focus on getting the good grades, and your sexual orientation or your sexual preferences is not something that the college is interested in, or is willing to assist you in, or something like that.
I see. Understandable.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what happened when you graduated?
Well, when I was about to finish, that's another interesting thing, because being part of that boarding school meant that we had to give mandatory entrance exams for the Air Force, and I did give those exams, and I didn't manage to pass those exams, which means that I was not selected for the Air Force. At that time, it seemed like a very big event, something that I had no idea how I'm gonna manage it or come out of it. I was left kind of, when you are in the middle of a desert and you don't know where you want to go from here. Most of my 80%. Yeah.
I don't think that's too relatable to Europeans.
Okay, well, in the middle of the ocean, and you don't know.
But I understand what you mean.
Yeah. And also, I think my parents at that time were also quite, how to say that? Yeah, at least my mom was quite concerned, like what's gonna happen now, because let's say 80% of my high school friends went to the Air Force or Army, and I was like, yeah, okay, what next? Like how to proceed further. And I had done the pre-engineering high school, so a natural bridge seemed to be, let's pursue a career in engineering. And then there are different directions that are pretty well known in the Pakistani society. For example, you can do electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, or civil engineering. Why these?
And that's it.
Yeah, now software is much more in the mainstream, but back then it wasn't. Why is that? I think partly because the big well-known institutions or universities offered these programs that were quite competitive. They were seen as more stable careers to pursue. And I mean, I did some applications. I got into a university for civil engineering. I started my, let's say, it was back in 2011, like I think around September 2011. Started the civil engineering. I was loving it. It was also a very much multicultural environment. Was doing pretty good. And then they said, well, maybe we can promote you to the electrical engineering because we have a vacancy. because there were these different disciplines in the university, right?
So electrical engineering was like more prestigious?
It had a higher, how to say that, percentage. In order to be inducted in it, your grades
I see.
mattered. So there was a vacancy and they could upgrade
Okay.
me to that. My father was in the favor that I should take the chance because he was himself also electrical engineer, and he thought maybe it's a more stable and office job, the electrical engineering. I was like, no, I'm happy in civil engineering because I can work outdoors, and
Doors?
outdoors.
Outdoors. I see.
Yeah. Getting a bridge constructed or getting a road constructed or stuff like that.
Yeah.
I fancied the idea. In any case, I also applied. By that time, a friend recommended me to apply to a university in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
After preliminary consultations with my family, they said, "Yeah, sure, why not? Let's give it a try." I applied to this university in Italy, Politecnico di Torino. Got inducted in mechanical engineering.
Was
there.
that a program in English?
It was in English.
Did you speak English very well at that time?
Yeah. One of the benefits, by the way, of my high school was that my English got pretty good. I had a very good English teacher, and she had studied, I think, in UK or something.
Mm-hmm.
She taught us the phonetics and how to pronounce stuff, and I still thank that teacher because I feel pretty comfortable with my English, thanks to my time in the high school. In any case, I got selected in this university. I got admission there, and then I was like, "Oh, what should I do now? Do I really want to go outside of my country and study outside?" Because before that, it was just like, yeah, let's give it a try, and we were not really sure if we're gonna get through. But eventually, it seemed like a nice prospect, and I must say that I had not put a lot of thought into it before moving to Italy, like how the life is gonna be or what I'm gonna do there. But for the better, I guess, things moved in the positive direction. So I stopped my education of that civil engineering in Pakistan, moved to Italy with the luggage.
How many years in is this? So
I started in 2011 in the Pakistani university. I quit it in 2012 in summer.
I see. So you did 2 semesters?
Yeah, I was in the second semester.
And you didn't finish it?
I didn't finish it.
And did your Pakistani ECs count towards your Italian diploma?
No, unfortunately not. I had to start from scratch again. But it was interesting. And I was doing good back there in Pakistan. But, life takes you in different directions. And I have still some friends from that university. And you get amazed by how different opportunities come your way and how much consequences different decisions or choices have.
It's the butterfly effect.
Yeah, it's the butterfly effect, I guess. In any case, I moved to Italy in September 2012 with a luggage of, I think, 2 or 3 kilos, which is this.
I'm a minimalist.
Yeah, but it turned
2 or 3 kilos.
Yeah, it wasn't planned. It all happened in a.
What do you mean it wasn't planned?
Yeah, well, let me try to put some perspective so that you can understand how the events unfolded.
Yes.
So I had applied for the visa for this Italian to go to Italy after I had gotten the admission, and I hadn't heard from anything from them. Let's say for 2-3 months.
Yeah, it's the visa offices.
Yeah, and I was
classic.
I had no idea how that's gonna turn out. And I was out with my buddies when I got a call at lunchtime from some number in Islamabad. My phone is ringing, and I was like, "Hello, like, is this Yawar Abbas?" Something like that. I was like, "Yeah, can you come to the passport office in Islamabad tomorrow? Like, it's afternoon already. They are asking me to come tomorrow. And by the way, can you also bring the health insurance?" And I was like, yeah, okay, fine. I will be there.
Wait, what do you mean by health insurance?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what he meant by that time. But what he was asking was for something like, if you travel, you need health insurance.
Like travel insurance.
Travel insurance.
Okay.
So, and they were from the passport office, but they didn't tell me I gotten the visa or not. You see, that was the funny part. Like, they asked me to come tomorrow, but I didn't know whether I got the visa or not. But I was so happy that I even finally got a call from them. I was, super pumped. Anyways, we had the lunch. I called my parents. They tried to organize this insurance stuff. I get on a bus. I arrive late night to the city, and next morning I'm there. I walk into like this small aisle, and there are like glass windows and stuff like that. I was like, "Yeah, I'm Yawar Abbas," and he slides down my passport. Behind, and they have these big glass windows where you can see the other person, and there is a small opening at the bottom where they pass things on.
It's because when they fuck up
Yeah.
and get you mad, so you wouldn't kill them.
You wouldn't kill them or something. But in any case, he slides his passport off. I open it and I see the Italian visa there. And everybody there is like, oh, yeah, where's the sweets? Where's the, we need some treat. And I was like, hey, guys, I'm a student, And I had no idea that I'm going to get this visa or not. But, I'm excited.
So they wanted like a bribe?
No. It's more a cultural thing, as in like, oh, it's a good thing for you, so let's celebrate and let's have something sweet together. Something like that.
I see.
It's a different cultural. It's not like I noticed that here nobody cares about let's say, if a person XYZ is getting a visa or not, it's their lives and, good for them, more power to them. There people are much more closely connected. Even if they don't know you, they want to be part of your happiness or your sad moments or stuff like that. In any case, I got this visa. So I'm trying to explain how I had only 1.2 kilos or 2-3 kilos.
Was it like it expires in 24 hours?
I hope, but that wasn't the case. Any case, I got the visa. I called my, my parents. I got the visa. All my stuff, clothes, everything was in this university where I was studying, right?
Mm-hmm.
My home was different place, like 4 hours from where my university.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to my home, and time was running out because I had to report in my Italian university and register by the end of September already. And so I had to be there.
So when did you get the visa? Do you know the date?
I don't know the date, but it was only it was in September. And it was only like few days before the registration stopped. So I get back home. Next morning I wake up. My father says, your flight is tonight. You're flying out tonight so that you can get there on time. And my mom was like a bit, but he doesn't have stuff, and we need to get him ready. And he was like, oh, no worries, we will give him money and he will buy stuff there. As in, like, had I been to Italy 1,000 times before, like I'd never flown out of my country.
Here's a 50 euros. Have fun.
Yeah. So I remember, like, we arranged some jacket for me and some money from me, and and the idea was like, we are gonna go to a big city, buy some clothes for me, and then I'm gonna go. But there was, when we went to this big city where I had to also take my flight.
What is the name of the city?
Lahore.
Okay.
There were some protests going on.
Okay.
So the big plazas and stuff were like kind of closed. Like kind of the whole city was closed because of these protests or stuff like that. So basically, I was left with like one or two jeans in my bag, one or two shirts that were there, a 1.5 liter of water bottle, which I didn't know that I can take not take with myself to the airport, and some cigarettes, which I had to take for someone who was going to receive me in Italy.
Oh, I see.
I mean, because cigarettes are cheaper, and people are more.
How much does a pack cost in Pakistan? Do you know?
I think it's like probably $1.50 or something.
Euros?
Yeah. Okay. Let's in euros it will be like €1 something.
€1 something per pack.
Yeah, like for 20 cigarettes. And also people are more nostalgic about their home country cigarettes. They grew up with that. So he was
their home country cigarettes that cost €1.
Yeah.
A box.
Yeah, a box. So he was. So I got some from him for him, and that was it. And I walk into the airport with this bag. Nobody would like to carry that bag at the airport. By the way, the one that I had. It's like if you're going from home to a supermarket. It wasn't like the bag you use while you are traveling abroad. The guy at the entrance of the door checking asked me, "Hey son, where are you going?" And I was like, Italy. He's like, "What do you do in Italy?" I was like, "I'm going to be a student here." And he looks at my bag, he looks at me, and he says, "Well, it doesn't look like a stuff of a student." And I said to him, "Look, it's a long story." And then they checked and let me go. And then I go, I'm about to finish. Then I go to the counter where they give you the boarding passes, right?
Yeah.
So it was an Emirates flight that I had. First time flying on a plane, and then Emirates is a good flight. And he's like, "Oh yeah, sir, please give me your passport." I gave him my passport. Once he has done the basic checks, he's like, "Sir, can you put your big bag on this, waiting scale or whatever?" And then I put my this small bag there, and it's like 2 kilos or between 2 to 3 kilos. He looks at me. He looks at the weight scale. He's like, "Sir, your big bag, please." And I was like, "That's the only bag I have." He was confused for.
Why did you check it? Did you end up checking it?
No.
Okay.
He told me like, "Sir, you can
Yeah.
carry it as a hand carry." And I was like, "What do you mean, hand carry?"
It's not even a carry-on.
Yeah.
That's what he means.
Yeah. He was like, "No, sir, you can take it with you." And he put a sticker around, and I was like, "Yeah, okay, thank you." And that's how I had a late night flight. That's how I, arrived in Dubai and then to Italy, and then that's like 9 years ago.
So you arrived at Italy.
I arrived.
Where did you live originally in Italy? Did you what was your accommodation getting as lousy as
Yeah, I mean,
packing?
it was also an interesting experience because my university was in Torino. I had 2 friends who were already studying there, but they were also living in some shared housing and stuff, so I couldn't just live with them. So they organized a house with me. So how it works there is like, if you are a student and you have a spot free, you put an advertisement, and then people can come and start living with you. There was this ad. They contacted these people. They were Pakistanis, and I moved in there. It was not the best living situation, I must say, but it was, for a start, a good living situation. As in, like, it was a bit...
You had a roof over your head.
I had a roof over my head. We used to have shared meals, which means that because I didn't know how to cook, which means I could get good food. And also, I mean, I had to learn a lot of, things that you generally should know, or, you have to take care of when you live by yourself, like your, taking care of your laundry, making sure you have enough clothes, making sure your food stuff is organized, making sure you use money in a proper way, while at the same time adjusting to a new culture and education system, and getting the grades you need. So I went through a big learning there, but I if I look back, it was a good time.
Yeah, because you get out of your comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
And that being out of your comfort zone is just the price you need to pay for being out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I guess. And it's also like a delicate moment, because either you can improve yourself in that time, or you can you can go down because you are not able to manage the stress or manage the things. You try spending time in the wrong things or whatever.
Yeah, either you step up or you implode.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a make or break kind of situation.
So did you finish at Italian university, or did you after a year decide to move to another country with no luggage?
No, I managed to finish, and it was...
And that was civil engineering as well?
That was mechanical engineering.
Mechanical?
Yeah.
Why did you switch to mechanical? Was it to piss off your father so that you would study every engineering besides his favorite?
Yeah, well, no, because civil was not available in English there. Some of
I see.
the good ones were like mechanical or computer science. I was much more comfortable with mechanical, and that's why I chose it. Or they chose me. It was a mutual thing, I think, because we had to do some entrance exam, and after that, they give a program to you, and you can decide whether you want
Mm-hmm.
to take it or not. It's a relatively more theoretical Italian education system. If I now look at the
Then
Netherlands,
Pakistani or
than the Netherlands, yeah.
How does Pakistani compare?
I think also theoretical, but not as theoretical. But at the same time, it's much more by the book in Pakistan. At least I'm talking about high school. I didn't do universities there, so I don't know how the university system is there.
I see.
Yeah, but I think it's more. From my friends, what I understand, it's more closer to American university system, with GPAs, with quizzes, with assignments and stuff like that. For example, in Italy, we didn't had any mid exams or whatever. We only had one exam at the end, and there were rarely some assignments, and there were no project works or group works.
So you basically just did the exam at the end of the year, and if you did good, you did good, and
End
if
of
you
the
screwed
semester.
up, you're fucked.
Yeah, and it was like every course had a different kind of guideline. So there were some where you first give the entrance exam, the written exam, then you have the oral exam, and then you get the final grade.
Yeah, I mean, at our high school, we had like everywhere in Czech Republic, in
Yeah.
high schools, you end the high school with like a big exam
Mm-hmm.
from the last 4 years of stuff you learned.
Yeah.
Not from every class. You pick your five of your favorites, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Also, some are mandatory. I don't know. I never remembered. Even at the point I was doing the exams, I didn't know how many I got.
Yeah.
But that's tough, studying for such a large amount of time.
Yeah.
Like something I did 4 years ago,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So 4 years worth of learning, even though it's high school learning, still is pretty challenging.
Yeah. I think like, the education system has. Now we have grown up in a system where things are relatively more defined. We have courses and exams and everything. But the world is changing fast. The technology is revolutionizing the way we absorb information, the way we, process information, the way we get reach to the information. So, like a kid can use an iPad now. And that's, I didn't do it when I was growing up. And what does that mean in terms of our education, how we should train or give university education remains to be seen. So how much of the concepts that I learned from physics or mathematics have I applied in my PhD or not, or someone applies in their jobs or not, is highly subjective, right? So
yeah, I actually really like how this university uses technology to create new and more efficient learning methods.
Yeah.
I still do think that sometimes they try to do a bit too much. But I really like the fact that they just let you study on your own.
Yeah.
Watching the micro lectures. Micro lectures are in general, I think, a great concept.
Yeah, it's a great concept and it's new, I think.
Yeah. And if you have a question, they will answer your question. You have the tutorials where you literally just work on the exercises, and if you have questions, you have someone there to help you.
Yeah.
Which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
And so much better spent time of a human being than explaining stuff.
Yeah.
Because, look, for an average teacher, the odds are you can find someone who explains it better on the internet.
Yeah.
For any teacher. Yes, there are some teachers that are unique.
Yeah. And I think also teachers are...
But there is not a lot of teachers where you would say, okay, this is unparalleled. This is the... I couldn't find anything like it. This is way better than Kanaka academy.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of those moments. So I really like how they use the technology at UT.
Yeah, me too. And I think like especially COVID has also brought in new conditions, right? So
Yeah, it's so transitioned our society. Like
yeah,
online school, if you said that just 3 years ago, I would laugh at your face. I would be
yeah,
like, what? Maybe in 15 years, you know?
yeah,
But people, and for that, I'm very glad. Like people a lot talk about all the negatives of COVID, and of course, it has a lot of negatives.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people died, included my grandfather. But
Oh, sorry about that.
People forget all the positives we were getting from this. And actually, I think overall, the pandemic has been a success.
Yeah, I mean,
it's has slapped humanity into face.
yeah,
A lot of people have been warning about this, like Bill Gates, for example. He was like, "Hey,
yeah,
viruses."
pandemic is coming. Yeah,
Yes, like specifically, viruses transmitted through air from China are coming.
yeah.
And people weren't listening, and I hope now we're more ready.
Yeah.
And while COVID was terrible, it could have been much worse. So I think we should be glad for how we dealt with it, I guess, or dealing still with it.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think like acknowledging all the misery and the human loss that happened in the COVID times. Of course, that there is no replacement for it. But what I really admire is the potential of a human being to adapt. How we are able to, adapt in different situations, find new ways, come up with creative ideas of working in a different way, of supporting each other, of bringing new solutions, frankly. That's quite inspiring. And for example, we have vaccines and stuff, and how the world is opening up again. But I mean, I feel like in a way its consequences on education are also long term, and also on working in general, because if working from home was previously a far off idea, now it's pretty much real. I mean, my mother is in educational field sector.
What does she do?
She's a high school teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and she's been working, I think, let me recall, from 1999, so quite a long time. And even she was telling me that she's now giving like instructions to her students through WhatsApp, right?
Yeah.
On how to do assignments and stuff. And we're talking about Pakistan, where we have problem of infrastructure sometimes in educational sector, especially at the lower ranks. It has translated itself. The ripple effects have gone even to that level. So I mean, in terms of how we do it in more professional sense in universities and where we have the infrastructure, I think there are we still don't really know how it's going to turn out or what the potential is.
Yeah. So you successfully finished your mechanical engineering in
Italy.
in Italy.
Yeah.
And then you went for masters where?
I came to the Netherlands for my master's, but
Here, this school.
Yeah, here at University of Twente.
I see.
But I want to add one thing. Why did I come here, or how did I come here?
Yeah.
Because that's an interesting link. Well, as in, like, why should I, come to the Netherlands or leave Italy in the first place? Well, the thought became more prominent mainly because I did an exchange program to US during my bachelor's degree in Italy.
Nice. Where?
I went to Mississippi State University for 6 months as an exchange student, and I liked it a lot. And it gave me a new perspective on education, people's life, their values, their culture. And I traveled a bit also. I went to, for example, New York. I went to Washington. I went to Colorado Springs. when I came back to Italy, I was like, oh, that was great. Now I want to go somewhere else for my master's. I don't want to, just do my master's here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I applied a lot of universities and eventually got selected here. I got my admission here in University of Twente. And I had, honestly, no idea about the Netherlands before. Like I had not much idea about Italy. But it seemed like a nice place. And I mean, I did some Google research. Oh, yeah. They are tall and, they wear wooden shoes and, the normal stereotypes. But the country has much more to offer than those stereotypes. And fortunately, I moved to the Netherlands in 2016, few months after I graduated from a bachelor's degree in Italy. So I graduated in December 2015, and I got enrolled in 2016 summer session of University of Twente. So I came in August 2016 to the Netherlands.
I see. Was your master's also just mechanical engineering, or was it some
Yeah, well, that's
something special?
That's a good question, because when I came here, they were like, oh yeah, we have the Master of Mechanical Engineering. Here are the 6 tracks from which you can choose one track. And I remember I spent 3-4 days just to figure it out, because they had defined 6 tracks. For example, design engineering within the mechanical engineering masters. They had thermal engineering. They had maintenance and operations, and a bunch of others. I think production or something like that. I decided to do maintenance and operations. Feel more closer to me, feel something new, something interesting, and had been a lot of pleasure. So I did the maintenance operations track, and basically it's about we have now the machines and the assets, and what should be the maintenance philosophy. For example, if our bulb stops working now, probably it's better to just get it replaced,
Then what?
than opening it up, changing the tungsten wire and putting in the new one and stuff like that. But if it's a car, you cannot just buy a new car, so you need a different approach to maintenance. Okay, maybe it stops working, then you call someone, they will come and fix. But it could be a pretty good idea to just get a checkup time to time, and if there is something that's going to fail soon, you get it replaced. So that thing would be called preventive maintenance.
Yeah.
Instead of corrective maintenance, that it fails and then you get it replaced. And the new thing, which is now becoming more prominent, there is condition-based maintenance. So you use the sensor data, you monitor its performance, and if it's going down, then you just replace it. So it's much more closer to the actual condition of the part.
So is this like a trick from the manufacturers to get you to replace still working parts earlier?
Well, there are a lot of models. There are a lot of models which take into account the remaining life, the cost, and also general feasibility. Because, for example, if you have a big plant that is, producing juices. So
Big what?
Big plant that is producing juices.
Oh, I see. Like a factory?
A factory, right?
I see.
If you just stop the production, it's going to cost, right? Because you have to orders to deliver and everything.
Yeah.
So it's a good idea that it doesn't stop unexpectedly.
Yeah.
So then you do these planned maintenances, which are more cost effective than just waiting for everything to fail or stuff like that.
So this planned maintenance is not implemented in like cars and stuff yet.
Planned maintenance?
Yeah.
It is.
Is it?
Yeah, you get your oil replaced, right?
Oh yeah, but the sensor-based one?
Well, think of it in a similar way. Like we have those. Some of the concepts are pretty well known. So your remaining fuel tank sensor, right? How much of the fuel is still in the car? So generally, when it's about coming to the E part or the end part, what you do is you get your refuels, right? So that's for example one of the concepts. The other is like you get those lights when there is a less oil or it's heating up too much. Those are in the similar lines. But a more fancy example of condition-based maintenance would be, imagine a windmill, which has a blades, right? So it's working. So you have some sensors involved there, and you can monitor the cracks, how big are they going to go, And when you feel like now is the time to replace the blade of a windmill, then you can replace it. So you're monitoring its condition and stuff like
I
that.
see.
Yeah.
All right. And your PhD is closely related to that?
I wouldn't say closely, but it is related to it.
Okay, so what is the field of your PhD?
Well, my PhD is a basically multidisciplinary subject. In simple terms, it's about how can we use our experiences in a better way to improve our performances. How can we learn from the past? That's what my PhD is about. But of course, then you have to make it more specific, more contextual. So then it dives deeper. It's a combination of different research fields. So, for example, knowledge management, which would be how do we manage knowledge? How do we manage experiences in the organizations? It's about project management. So, from project to project, how do we make sure that the learnings are passed on from one project to the other and that they're applicable? And system engineering, which is like, how can we make better products, better trains, better cars based on our learnings? So the subject I look into is like lessons learned management. And basically I use insights from these three disciplines, knowledge management, project management, and system engineering, to propose some solutions both on conceptual level and on technology level to improve the management of our experiences. Yeah.
Okay, so in more practical or real terms, could you give an example of what that would entail?
Sure. So one of the example is trains need to be maintained after a certain period by the railway companies.
Yeah.
And when they maintain it, or they use parts from certain suppliers. So imagine they are inserting new bearings or new bogies or new door systems into the train. And if you are maintaining them according to the guidelines by the supplier and they are still failing, then you have a trust deficit between someone who's maintaining and the warranty manager. That is a real situation we had.
What exactly do you mean by trust deficit?
I mean, like, you will say, Yawar, I bought this train from you. You told me that I should maintain the door in this way, but it keeps having problem. I always get it stops closing, it stops opening, despite me maintaining it in the best way I can, right? So you say, now I want warranty. Now I want to go back to our contract. And because it's not delivering the performance you promised it will deliver, I want to get back my money, or I want you to fix it.
Yeah.
The warranty manager will say, I don't think you are maintaining it in a proper way, right?
Yeah.
And you have a classic trust deficit between warranty manager and the maintainers of the train company.
So the trust deficit is what exactly?
On the quality of performed maintenance.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah. So one is saying I did it properly, and the other is saying you didn't do it properly, right?
I see.
So that's a trust deficit.
Yeah.
Now, a lesson learned can be have trust in the quality of performed maintenance. That's a lesson learned, right?
But I mean, sometimes people lie about it as well, right?
Yeah. So then we came up with a technological solution. We looked into the technology called blockchain, which is behind Bitcoin.
I think I'm very familiar with blockchain.
That's good. So you can validate what I'm saying. So we said, okay, well, we heard a lot about this technology and, Bitcoin, and that it can be trusted and it has a very good coding mechanisms and, authenticity, and it's tamper-proof and all those stuff. And everything is time-stamped and validated by, anonymous people. So there is no reason, the data is not, it cannot be manipulated. Can we use this kind of a concept to record maintenance events and get them validated by both parties, the maintainers and the warranty managers, in time, so that if they say after 3 months, oh, I don't think you did the right maintenance, or I did the right maintenance, they can look back 3 months on all the maintenance events they approved and have faith in how the maintenance was
Yeah,
done.
and this would also be very useful for cars that have maintenance books on paper right now, right?
Yeah.
And I think a big, I think that could be a big
Another
application as well.
Yeah. So we designed an application. We asked the maintenance personnel and the warranty managers, what information do you need to validate the quality of performed maintenance? And we thought, okay, what information does the maintainer need? So we provided him with the instructions, the guidelines on how to do it, and asked him, okay, once you have done the maintenance, you take a picture of that performed maintenance, you write down what you did, and then you store it or save it. When he saves it, that information goes to both the warranty manager and the manager of that maintainer. They both look at it, they both verify it. Once they verify it, it's recorded in the blockchain.
I see.
And other people who are sitting in other offices can also access it if they want to know what the maintainer said to improve the product and stuff like that. So you create this like a cloud system. And once it's validated, then they are both basically agreeing on the quality of performed maintenance, and then you're building trust between them on the quality of performed maintenance. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah. So that's one example on how.
So did you guys build this blockchain?
We used blockchain as a service concept. So basically, we focused more on finding a use case for maintenance management on blockchain. We didn't necessarily design a new consensus mechanism for blockchain.
I see.
We were more into the application side.
But you created the application that will allow this to happen.
Yeah, that connected what needed to be done in the on field to the blockchain.
I see. How is this just your PhD thesis?
It's one of the case studies of my PhD thesis.
Oh wow! So this is just a part of your.
This is just a part of my thesis.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Did other people collaborate with you on it?
I work with the Netherlands Railways. We got.
I mean, researchers.
Researchers. Well, my supervisor was involved, who was looking over my PhD.
I see.
But not other people.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
That's very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the first projects I was working on, so I learned a lot in the process also, on also how to get it published and make sure that the academic audience knows what we did and can make use of it. And now this research is published in a pretty good journal, International Journal of Information Management.
Well, congratulations. So is it like peer reviewed?
It's peer reviewed, yeah.
Whoa, peer reviewed paper. That's.
Yeah, those are like currency in PhD.
Right. So, is it in use by someone?
I know that they made another project in the railway company to find or to explore further the opportunities of blockchain in the railway company. That specific application is not in use. It was proof of concept.
I see.
But it did start a discussion. It did identify some of the problems with their current software. And I think in academics, it did build the foundations of how you can use blockchain technology differently.
I see.
In the organizations.
Is it open source?
The paper is open source. The code, I think, is also available. Yeah.
All right.
On GitHub.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very fascinating.
Yeah. It was a big learning, and I think summing it up, it's like there is a basic language of we need to learn from our experiences, to this kind of very specific examples or work that you do, and it should have benefit for the people working in the companies. So like I gave you an example of how we did that, but it should also have the benefit for academics to see the potential of research and what can be improved, and so you do papers for that.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, thanks.
So that must have been quite a bit of programming as well, right?
Yeah.
But you're a mechanical engineer.
That's a
by
good
trade.
question. Yeah. So I didn't code myself. We had the trainees from the railway company who coded. I gave them the user stories.
You gave them the what?
The user stories. What are the users? What they should be able to do at with the application?
I see.
What are their requirements? How should things look like? What should be the design? So I used to have weekly meetings with them, but they did the coding, and I focused on getting all the information available for them, coordinating with them on what needs to be done, how the design should look like, what should the application itself do, what is the data that should be stored on blockchain. Those kind of matters I took care of.
I see.
Yeah.
It's getting kind of late.
Yeah.
Is there something you would like to say at the end of this podcast?
Yeah, I think first of all, thank you for inviting me. I think you are doing a great job, Mickey. Your curiosity is admirable.
Thanks.
To get to know other people, you come out as an open person, and I think you should keep doing it. Keep building your stuff, keep learning from other people. And what I can say from my journey of, let's say, 9 years living abroad, but also before that, is more like it's important to have goals in life and challenge yourself to get those goals. Have faith in yourself, and also get help from people when you don't know what to do. As in, like, one of the biggest qualities or the things I'm proud of about myself is, like, pretty soon in my life I learned an important lesson, that to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need to be the best questions, but you need to be able to ask questions, because when you can ask questions, then you can learn. So I feel like I invite people to be a bit more curious, bit more expressive, ask questions to people on things that interest them, and have confidence in themselves to meet their self-defined goals.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it.
Well, thank you for being on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to my voice. As always, if you go to my Linktree in the description, you can find all my social media at one place. This includes my subreddit, where you can discuss this episode with me and other listeners of my voice. And thank you for following my voice in your podcast app. If you want to support my efforts further, sharing this episode with that someone who might enjoy it is the most you can do for me. Listeners sharing the podcast is what makes it grow exponentially, rather than linearly.